So, I just came back from a spiritual bath, and the gag is it's like close to 1 o'clock in the morning. And yes, I decided then to do a spiritual bath because I operate on my own time. But nonetheless, that's not what you came here for, and that's not what I'm recording for. I was thinking how this identity of whiteness, how that even corrodes Europeans. And I'm specifically talking about European Americans. And I'm specifically talking about those who come from, let's say, the wave after the New Deal. So the waves of immigrants, European immigrants who came to this country to replace Black people, to replace Indigenous people, and to integrate into American society, but integrate into the white gaze, the white box, the white mold, the white definition. And I'll explain it. You see how white Americans can only hang on to the identity of whiteness, and whiteness is apple pie, whiteness is guns, whiteness is the red, white, and blue. But they have no cultural identity outside of these markers of what it means to be American white, right? Whereas, like, let's say someone who just came from Italy will say, I'm Italian and these are my cultural markers. This is what I eat. This is what I listen to. These are my upbringings. These are my cultural and religious influences. Whereas white Americans have this construct of this white identity and they hold on to it so passionately because there's nothing else there. Even, again, the Ellis Island European migrants, their offsprings, their modern day representation of them, which would be white Americans, all they have is this white American identity. They can't tell you, like, my great grandfather was Welsh, and like the Welsh culture, this is what we do, this is what we practice, this is what we eat. My grandmother is Dutch. This is the Dutch culture. This is what we do. This is what we eat. These are our cultural identity markers. There's none of that. By the time you hit second, third generation American, white people lose their cultural identity. You see with even African Americans or even Black immigrants, even when they do assimilate, they still keep their cultural identity. Whether we're talking about the Geechee people from the South, more specifically that Georgia, Carolinas areas, they still kept their cultural identity all throughout slavery. Black people, whether we're talking about those who are more Black identity nationalists, so those who are like Pan-Africanist, or those who are just strictly ADOS, whatever that shitstorm is, they still keep on to their identity markers, whether we're talking about Juneteenth, whether we're talking about Kwanzaa, whether we're talking about even certain things like I love my hair or dashikis, or even something as interesting as bean pies. These are cultural markers that we still hold on to. Even Asians, even Indians, even groups of people still hold on to their identity cultural markers. But white people haven't really talked about their assimilation into white American gaze and what do they have to lose to enter into that construct, right? Because once upon a time ago, Irish people weren't considered white. Once upon a time ago, Italian people weren't considered white. Once upon a time ago, Jewish people weren't considered white. Why are they now considered white? What did they have to forfeit to obtain this white identity? No different than Black people. What did we have to lose to capture the civil rights supposed benefits that we're still fighting for? They give us rights, but then they can repeal it. So, like, what's the point of rights if they're always under threat, right? What did we have to lose to gain white acceptance? What did we have to lose to get white assimilation? And we're still fighting for our rights again. Pay wage gap, wealth gap, just all these horrible and destructive things that we're still fighting, even though we supposedly have rights, even though we're still being poisoned by dirty ass water, but we supposedly are human beings and we're supposedly are Americans, and there's no difference on paper between us and other groups of people, but the quality of life says different, right? This idea, this construct of America and Americans make us all toxic, make us all sick, make us all enemies of each other when we should be more in solidarity. And when it comes to the content that I make, I'm very aware of that, especially in this stage of my development, my knowledge, and like what I want to contribute to this thing called the human experience, what I want to contribute to the dialogue. I always want to focus on the fact that we are humans, because that is what we actually fucking are. That's what our species is called. Like, we are humans. Like, cats and big cats are felines. Like, this is what we are. This is our category, humans. And interestingly enough, earlier today, I was thinking about like how ridiculous would it be for a Scottish fold cat to tell an American tabby cat that you're not really a cat because you're American tabby, and how weird it would be for an American tabby to tell a black puma that you're not really a cat because you're a black puma, and how ridiculous it would be like for a black puma to tell a jaguar that you're not really, and you catch my drift. They're all the same species. They look different, different sizes, different colors, different, but still the core essence of that species is feline. But here we are under this psychosis, this mental mind game, this psychological warfare called racism, called imperialism, and we're still fighting this. But like, we refuse to understand that we are all the same. All these constructs, all these identities, all these categories are bullshit to keep us separated, confused, angry, despondent, rejected, instead of becoming closer to our humanity, closer to our solidarity, and base our principle off of the fact that we are humans. The way that you love your cousin is the same way that you can love your neighbor. The same way that you care for your mother, you can care for someone of another race. Like, we are humans through and through. We have the same DNA. We have the same flesh. We have the same. But to survive, literally to survive in this society, this imperialism, this colonization, this white supremacy, we have to quiet our instinctive humanity, our instinctive human nature to thrive. You can't be human and be a capitalist. You can't be human and be a warmonger. You can't be human and be pro-American. Gasp. Because it's literally the antithesis of being human. And this is not even by my regards of like, oh, you just hate American, another Black Lives Matter. I'm just talking about it, true facts, true shit. Compare the pros and cons. Is Americanness, American society conducive with humanity? Is it pro-life? Not in the sense of abortion, not abortion. In the sense of, is it thriving? Is the quality of life thriving for not just its citizens, but those who are quote unquote illegal people? Whatever the fuck that means. Acting as if people aren't even human anymore because they're not from the same country, as if someone from another country is all of a sudden another fucking species. Like, again, words have definitions. Words are used in spells, and the way that we interpret things, the way that we process words, create an image. If I call someone of another culture, another country, illegal alien, what's the first thing that flashes across your head? Probably the typical migrant at the border, or a literal image of E.T., a fictitious Hollywood hocus pocus movie. And these are the words that sit in our unconscious as we judge and we interface with the world and each other. And we wonder why we cannot get along with each other. If we base our morality, our principles on humanity, not only would we have a better existence life in general, but we would value our own humanity. Because you cannot love your brother, you cannot love your neighbor if you don't love yourself first. And if God is love, for y'all who are super religious like that, if God is love and we are a reflection of God and we are made in God's image, that means there is inherent love within us. Our humanity is based off of love. That's our path. And that's what's going to allow us to thrive or die, is our ability to live on love, to prioritize love. And whether you believe in creation or whether you believe in evolution, the same basic principles matter, actually, which is quite ironic. Atom, A-T-O-M, Adam, A-D-A-M, as well as whether you believe Big Bang, cells, clumps became things, or whether you believe we are from dirt. But the funny thing about it is, wherever you are at the spectrum, when we die, our human flesh becomes ashes to ashes, dust to dust. No different than the creation story. And if you believe in evolution, well, our bodies still become ashes to ashes, dust to dust. The same dust and dirt that creates trees is the same dirt and dust that's within us, our human bodies, which is the same dirt and dust that is within the astral plane, within outer space. So whatever the fuck you believe in, the common thread is we're here, we're human, and if we're going to survive this thing called global warming, imperialism, colonization, and all this mental psyops of white supremacy, Americanism, and all that other bullshit, we gotta go back to square one, which is we are humans. We're humans through and through. We are humans. And the same thing you want, I want. The same thing I want, she wants. The same thing she wants, he wants. The same thing he wants, they want. We all want love. We all want stability. We all want our Maslow hierarchy of needs met. We all want the same thing. So why don't we collaborate to get the same thing and drop all these categories that are meant to keep us divided? Because we're all being subjugated now. So let's all come together. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I shall see you in the next video. Peace.
What they don't know is when you go home and get behind closed doors, man, you hit the floor and